yes, yes, yes. I can hear you. So I was just giving them some updates about what's been going on in Bangology, and I've not told them about our conversation yet, about what we're going to be talking about. Actually, they probably should know if we're going to be talking tonight. We're going to be talking about cannabis. So we're on the Bangology page. So, guys, tonight we're having a casual conversation with Dr. Cyntrell Crawford. I am so excited to have this time to talk with her and share her with you because she has created this amazing DocuFilm, Us versus the Plant. And so Dr. Cyntrell is a psychiatrist. She is now she's an author, and she's now adding to her credentials movie creator, producer. So without further ado, welcome, Dr. Cyntrell.
Hey, thank you for having me, Dr. Taunya Lowe.
So will you tell the folks just a little bit about your background?
Okay, so actually my background is in psychiatry, and I mostly focus on people with addiction. I have a telepsych practice where I contract with different companies where I see their patients, their clients, and most times it's general psychiatry, but also I can see people in just Suboxone clinics throughout the state of Pennsylvania. And since COVID, it's made it a lot easier for me to get contracts across Pennsylvania than previously. But yeah, so my background is in psychiatry, focused on addiction, preferably opiates and benzos addiction to get people off of those drugs.
Awesome. And we know with the opioid crisis in America, the work that you do is very very critical to what's happening with opioids and people struggling with opioids. And a lot of doctors just really not. I don't know if it's they don't really understand because they give it out like candy, or if they, I don't want to say they don't care, but is it that they don't understand, or they don't really see what's happening, why they give it out so freely? So,
well, I actually think we have changed it a little bit. I mean, in like the 80s and the 90s, we were giving it out like candy because we did not really have any alternative to pain. People come in, and then the more they take, the more they want because they develop tolerance. And now, since we know that people with tolerance lead to addiction, there have been like more doctors who are very reluctant to give people opiates. And the people who are not reluctant are usually getting in trouble now.
yeah.
So there's definitely, the DEA is definitely on it, and doctors are becoming more aware. Like for both my license, I have to take opiate training every year, or every 2 years rather, to make sure that I'm up to date on what opiates I can use, what I can't use, what should I be cautious for in the patients. And so I think the medical society has definitely changed in the last 10 years due to
Okay.
the opiate epidemic.
Yeah. Well,
But
I'm
there are
glad to
still
hear
some
that.
careless doctors.
I'm so glad to hear that because
It's
coming from a mental health addiction background myself, um, seeing people come into treatment who have been struggling with opioids, and they talk about how easy it was to get them, and now they're showing up on the streets. So I'm glad that things are there's an alternative, and that there's education around how to just really stop this thing that has gotten out of control. So tell me about this. So my first question is, why your interest? Here you are, a psychiatrist. You're telling people, don't do drugs. Why this DocuFilm? Why do a DocuFilm on cannabis?
actually, it is because of that. I mostly tell people don't do drugs, right? That's what I do every day, all the day. I did it about 4 times a day. But the problem with that is when about 2, 3 years ago, when the state started legalizing it, particularly the state that I'm licensed in, Pennsylvania, now there's dispensaries, and now I have patients saying, well, they're selling it to me and they're saying it's medical. Well, now I can't just say don't do it, because technically they can go to a doctor and get a certificate, a recommendation to go and get cannabis. So then I had to educate myself on cannabis and is there a benefit for people. So that's how the journey started for me, is that I was actually taught, cannabis is the gateway drug. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it leads to all other drugs, bad drugs, and don't do it. When I see positive on a urinary drug screen, I was this person using, what else should I educate them about so that they don't lead down that road. But now, since states are now legalizing it, now there's CBD on the shelves, there's THC in dispensaries.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just say patients don't do it, because now they can go get certified and get it from a recommending doctor. So
Right.
that was the journey from that. And I was also interested in doing films. So I was like, well, this is a good topic. It's a booming topic right now. People want to
Mm-hmm.
be educated on it. My patients want to be educated on it. So why don't I do that? Why don't I start this journey, which took me about a year and a half, on understanding cannabis and what people can benefit from it, what people should be worried about, and if it actually can help them. And why was cannabis considered a gateway drug, lead to insanity, the devil's lettuce? Why did we get all that stigma from reefer madness, the 40s with reefer madness, the Nixon administration with the drug enforcement task force, and everything else that happened?
Right.
Why did we pick on one drug? We It's not like opiates or cocaine or all those other stuff. It was like literally cannabis.
Right.
So it's a
Yeah.
plant,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Well, it's
know.
interesting, as you talk about this, and spoiler alert, everybody, I've seen the movie. So, um, and I'm not going to give it away, but you talk about in the movie that how the U.S. has two patents for cannabis.
Yeah, yeah. So they actually have a patent for the cannabis to be neuroprotective, as
Mhm.
well as for HIV dementia. So they
Yeah.
had a patent since the 80s.
Yeah. Wow. Since the 80s.
So if
So,
there's no benefits, no medicinal use because it's Scheduled One, why patent it?
right.
You
Exactly.
know, why
Exactly.
get some ownership of it? Why want to be the first one at the store?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ownership.
Well, we
So
we
I
know
don't
why. We know why. Wink, wink. We know why. It's about control. It's about power and control. And so
know.
you
And you
had
know
this.
how Americans are about control.
Exactly, exactly. So you are working with your clients, they're coming to you, they're telling you, "Hey, Dr. Crawford, I can use it. It's legal. I got this little card." You already had an interest in doing a film. During this journey, what did you learn as a psychiatrist? Who works in addiction? What did you learn along this journey?
Well, not to be afraid of it as a medicinal value if you actually use it right. The one thing I do have concerns about is that even though like I'm leaning towards being pro cannabis, I do have concerns because I do have a lot of patients who can't necessarily afford to go into the dispensaries,
Mm,
and so they go get the medicinal card, but then they go and get the cannabis vapes or cannabis off the street, which is
hmm.
completely different, you know, and that's not what we're giving the cards for. So I also learned that the most interesting thing I learned was that, how most people think Jamaica's like, pro cannabis and
Yeah.
everyone's in smoking. I learned that that's not true. That Jamaicans are actually just as concerned about cannabis as we are, and there's a limit to who smokes it. Like the Rastafarian smokes it as a sacrament. People, they pretty much have the same stigma about cannabis as we do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and actually, I was warned to discontinue my interest in cannabis because it might ruin my career. Hopefully, that's not true.
Absolutely not.
um,
Not in America.
and I learned, yeah, and I learned, you know, the people who are using it properly, the people who are learning about the plant, doing it for the medicinal value, or actually getting benefits, and it actually is being helpful. There's always going to be misuse in the world, but if
Exactly.
you educate yourself and that you align yourself with the right people, the right physicians, the right dispensary to learn about the actual benefits of each strand, each terpene, each CBD versus THC, making sure those are balanced, that then you can actually have a cannabis can be useful for your ailments.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that to be the most important thing. Like, just don't go get the card, or if you're doing CBD, make sure, don't go to Amazon. Make sure that you're learning with the product that you're getting. Research the product, get the chemical analysis. Educate yourself. Just like if I gave a patient a medication, most of my patients, besides what I tell them about the medication, they go and research it themselves, and then
Mm-hmm.
they come back with the 1%er that they're gonna die from. But you know, but and so worried, and then don't want to take it anymore. But as long as you educate yourself, I think you'll be fine
Right.
if you're
Right.
interested in cannabis. And I also, a lot of people that I've met are off some of their other meds because they're using cannabis
Mm-hmm.
properly.
Properly.
So that was actually the biggest surprise for me. Sometimes, I mean, when I'm doing a medical reconciliation for my patients, I'm always like, man, that's just a whole breakfast that you have there, because most people don't just have one ailment. I'm a psychiatrist, so they're coming for me with psychiatric problems. I may put them on one, two, three, four, I don't know, 5 meds. But then if you look at their list, they have hypertension, they have diabetes, they have high cholesterol, they have fibromyalgia, they have GERD, they have arthritis. I mean, they have all of that stuff.
Right.
And when I look at their pills and I do the count of how many they take in the morning, like 20 pills in the morning, I'm like, can they even eat breakfast after that?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a lot of pills. So
Yeah.
it was actually surprising that people were actually able to safely get off of their medicines while using um, cannabis in the forms of CBD and THC, because everyone wasn't just using THC.
Right. Right. So, what you talk about around the education and using, I'm in Georgia, using cannabis, and in Georgia, we can only use CBD from hemp, but using it, correctly, and understanding how to use it, and understanding CBD is different from THC, and then understanding all of the elements of that are in that one leaf. And I know for myself, several years ago, I didn't know, but I was struggling with my own ailments, struggling with pain, struggling with sciatica, and really started looking into it. And that's really was my driving force for starting the Bangology Cannabis Society, to really educate people who deal with pain, anxiety, and sleep issues, to get an understanding of how that leaf works and how to use that leaf for medicinal purposes. So CBD for high, not health. So yeah, so we're on a mission to do that through Bangology and Bangology Cannabis Society. So um, I have a question about people in recovery. You work with people in recovery. Did you find that there were people in recovery that are saying, hey, I want to use this? What are you seeing with people who are in recovery, and is it causing them to relapse? Because I've gotten some of those questions. Hey, I'm in recovery, but I want to try maybe the pain rub, or I'm in recovery, but maybe I want to try, you know, a gummy, but I don't know. I don't want to relapse. So what have you heard about? What are you hearing? What are you seeing?
I haven't, in my personal practice, people who are using cannabis, the medicinal cannabis. This depends. Like in my Suboxone clinic, you know, it's kind of Suboxone or medical cannabis because of the cost effectiveness of it. But I haven't seen anyone relapse. Like, and when they see my movie, actually, one of the speakers has PTSD, and also he's a recovering addict, and he has not relapsed in the last 2 years of using medicinal cannabis. And he particularly goes to, huh?
I said, wow.
Yeah. So he
Yeah.
particularly goes to the doctor and the dispensary, and he's using them in conjunction. He was very worried about starting, and he talks about his journey about starting the medicinal cannabis first for what he would get from people who are actually in recovery,
Mm-hmm.
how they would feel about him using the cannabis, as well as if he would relapse or want another drug. And he pretty much, his experience is that that's not the case.
Right. And he tells his story, guys, in the movie. So he tells his story. He shares his journey in the movie. For me, a person who's worked with people with addictions, I thought that was an amazing story of, you know, kind of where we are today with and we're not talking about well, we're talking about using it in conjunction, how you use it together based on your state to get the results. So for people who are just saying, you know, well, I just want to use THC, um, and you know, I don't want to, you know, I'm enjoying what I'm using for what I'm using it for. Then this discussion may be totally out of your league. But if you want to understand some of the historical background behind it, and if you want to understand a little bit more about the benefits, then you should definitely see this DocuFilm, because it was an education. It was an education for me, and I'd already started kind of educating myself, and I was so excited when Dr. Cyntrell called me up and said, "Hey, I want you to come to the red carpet viewing." So, why should people see this movie?
Well, first, it's a good movie to educate yourself on cannabis. It's entertaining. I take you through a lot of different journeys with cannabis. We talk about reefer madness. We talk about the endocannabinoid system. We talk about the different ailments that you can use in to treat with cannabis, as well as a different view of the different parts of the countries and how they're dealing with cannabis. So I think, you know, if you're interested in cannabis and interested in wanting to learn something, definitely come and see the movie.
And so if you're saying, "Hey, I've been enjoying this conversation. I want to learn more. I want to look at how to incorporate cannabis in my journey," you know, the link is over in the thread, and I'll put it in the thread again. It's on the screen, but it's also on the thread, where you can join us on this Sunday and come and watch the movie, talk with Dr. Cyntrell in an intimate setting, and have a discussion about the movie, and really, you know, some of the questions. You know, we're going to have a session in Bangology Cannabis Society about how do I talk to my doctor about cannabis. And so, you know, this is a good way to go ahead and start educating yourself. I believe we should be um, educated consumers. We should really educate ourselves about our health. And if there's something that you want to try, talk to your physician about it. You know, find out, which I think you should do anyway, find out if, you know, it's going to be counteractive with any of the medications that you may be on. Talk about your concerns. And if you run into a physician that is totally unaware or totally, I don't want you to do it at all, then, and you have a desire to learn more about it, then I think you should uh, connect with someone who's willing to have that conversation with you. Would you agree, Dr. Cyntrell, someone, they should definitely talk with their physician first?
Yeah, I think everyone should talk to their physician first because I'm not your physician. And also, you should be open and honest with your physician on all drugs that you're using, all over the counter things that you're taking,
Yes.
because everything goes into your body, has an effect on it. So you should be honest. And if your physician is not knowledgeable about a particular um, about cannabis or does not want to discuss it, then there are other physicians who you can connect with within your state.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Robert Pierce says he can't wait. He has already gotten his ticket. So,
Awesome.
guys, again, the link
Mhm.
is in the chat. Go ahead, join us on Sunday at Sunday, July 19th. That's this Sunday at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Pop your popcorn and come on and let's watch this movie. How long is it, Dr. Cyntrell? About 45 minutes, an hour?
An hour and 9 minutes.
It's an hour and 9 minutes. So come on and join us. Let's go to the movies. Let's have a conversation about and let's support Dr. Cyntrell. Most of all, we're in now, and so my big thing is I've got a sister who has done a DocuFilm. That's a big deal. Okay, that's a big deal. And if I were not entering into the cannabis space, I would still be saying, hey, I want to share you with my community. We want to support you. And so we're going to support you on Sunday, and we're going to, continue to spread the
Awesome.
word. Dr. Cyntrell is an honorary Bangology Cannabis Society member. She was with us at our open house. And so, yes. So, and if you're not a member of the Bangology Cannabis Society, you may want to think about it, because we'll be bringing people like Dr. Cyntrell and Dr. Cyntrell in to have discussions with our members. So we're sharing her with you tonight. But along the way, a lot of these discussions and things we'll be talking about in the membership. So, Dr. Cyntrell, anything else you want to share before we end about why people should see this movie, or what what can they expect? What can they expect?
I think you guys can expect a good journey into cannabis. I really did try to talk about all topics related to cannabis and things that people should know, especially beginners learning cannabis. And hopefully, I piqued people's interest into diving into. All I had was an hour and 9 minutes. Hopefully, I piqued people interest into diving into the different topics I talked about within the movie
Yeah.
to expand on, like joining this community or even researching yourself.
Awesome. Awesome.
And
Yes.
maybe even taking a trip to Colorado or Jamaica or LA and seeing what it's like.
Because she went to
I'm in
all of those places, guys, and you get to go with her
yeah.
through the movie, through the DocuFilm. So, Dr. Cyntrell, thank you so much for
Oh, no
spending
problem.
this time with us tonight. I love being able to share you with not only our members but our followers on the Bangology page, with my tribe on my personal page. We're doing a watch party over there, and so I will see you with my crew on Sunday. We just see if I have
Sunday.
any questions here. Dr. Rita Claxton says hello. Steve Dent says hello. So
Hey.
thank you, guys. Again, you can get your tickets. The link is in the chat. So go to the chat. You can get your tickets up until showtime on Sunday. Is that how it works?
Yep.
Up until
Showtime.
showtime. So don't be trying to get your ticket at 3 o'clock, because the show starts at 3 o'clock. So I'm gonna say you can get your ticket up until 2:50. 2:50 p.m. So, all right, Dr. Cyntrell, thank you
All right.
for joining us this evening.